everyone, I'm Linda, and I'm so happy to welcome you to an all-new episode of Hope from Home, the show where we bring you stories of hope from our home to yours. Today, Deacon Pedro speaks with Gillian Kantor, and we learn how her kids have been teaching her about her relationship to God during this time of crisis. Then, Emilie Callan speaks to wedding photographer Madison Giesbrecht, and we learn how this virus has been affecting her industry. We end with a fascinating conversation about mental health. You'll meet our new producer, Jermaine Bagnall, who speaks with Elizabeth Pierce, the Executive Director of Catholic Family Services in Durham, Ontario. And of course, they'll all tell us where they're finding hope from our home to yours.
Gillian, it's so good to have you with us today. I think some of our viewers will remember you from when you were a producer and host on Salt and Light Television. Some of our listeners and viewers might even know that you are a monthly contributor to our radio program, the Salt and Light Hour. Every month you come and you tell us what your kids have taught you, what you've learned from your kids about your spiritual life, your relationship with God. So that's what I think would be great to hear from you right now. You've been socially distancing, self-isolating with your kids these last weeks. What have you learned from your kids these last weeks?
Okay, well, first of all, they're right now socially distanced outside in the backyard, but I can hear them through this window. So I hope you cannot hear them.
No, we're
going to
good.
subject the neighborhood to that noise for a little
We were hoping that you were going to have all of them with you and they could tell us themselves.
It would be a lot of nonsensical noises and nose shots, up the nose shots, if they were participating.
So this has been some difficult weeks for you as a family.
I mean, everyone. It's been challenging and different for everyone. But the thing that I'm kind of learning from them, that I'm feeling from them, is that it is good and helpful and necessary to seek comfort in these days. I'll start with a little story about this past Palm Sunday. For some technical difficulties, whether it was at our end or the end of our parish, we couldn't connect for the live stream of Mass from our local parish. So after trying a few different times in a few different ways, we decided, well, we'll just look on YouTube. I'm sure there's another Mass, another priest that we can watch, but just participate somewhere else. It's like we're on a vacation. We're going to go somewhere else. So we finally settled on another Mass on YouTube. And this was met with a minor revolt by our children, who were like, what? This isn't our church. That's not our priest. What are we doing? They were so angry and upset that we were not participating in our regular Mass. And I get it, in all this change and all the cancellations and no school, and they're not seeing their friends, and we're having to connect with our family in a different way. They just wanted something that was the same. They wanted to see Father Alan and Father Joseph. They wanted to see the altar on which they normally serve. They wanted to see the parish building that we are normally in. So this was upsetting to them, but regardless, we couldn't connect. So here we were watching this different priest on YouTube, who, by the way, he's a famous priest in his own right. And so we were excited to hear him. The kids were not impressed. So
No.
I won't mention names. I don't want anyone to be offended. During that Mass that we did participate in, even though it wasn't a regular one, we heard the Gospel of Matthew, and it's Palm Sunday, so we're hearing the Passion, and it's Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane. And there was something about that reading on that day that I heard differently, that I had not paid attention to before. So we know that when Jesus is in the garden praying, he goes to his disciples and he wakes them. But this time what I heard that I hadn't heard in the past, was that he doesn't go to them once, but he goes to them 3 times, and he has to wake them up 3 times. And I wondered, why? What's going on? Like, these are grown men. You've told them once. It's on them now. They can't stay awake. How is this helpful to you? So it was just this question that it was in my head. Why did Jesus get up 3 times to wake his disciples? Now, in a house full of children, we know something about being woken up or sleepless nights. We go through different seasons where everyone's having great sleeps and we're sleeping through the night. And then we go through seasons, whether it's at the newborn or whether it's a growing child who's having nightmares or whatever it is. There'll be times when someone wakes up multiple times, or multiple children wake up multiple times during the night.
Yeah.
And coincidentally, it was that same night where my daughter kept waking up in the night and then therefore waking me up in the night. And as I took her back to bed for the third time, and I tried to comfort her, and I tried to reassure her that Mommy and Daddy are here, you can go to sleep, it's okay. As I did that for the third time, I thought, is this it? Is this the thing? Is this what Jesus was looking for? Was he seeking out that same comfort? Now, we see throughout his lifetime, Jesus responds to some things as man, and he responds to some things as God. And I think as we approach his death, we see more and more him responding to things as man. Necessarily, he has to. He could respond to God. He could have that. He could respond as God and have that legion of angels come and fight the battles for him, or he could bring himself down off that cross. But he can't. For our sake, for our salvation, he must suffer through these things as man. And so, when we see him in the garden waking up his disciples for the third time, I think, or I feel, to me, that's what this is. That's what this is for him. He's responding as man. He's responding almost as a child, in fact, that he's been in prayer with his Father. It's an agonizing prayer where he's actually come to his Father and said, if this can be taken from me, can you take it from me? And the response is, no, this is what must be done. This is the path to our salvation. He must die this terrible death on this cross. And so 3 times this is happening. He's going back and forth between his disciples and prayer with his Father. And it's agonizing. It's like he's pacing, and you can feel that discomfort. And so every time that he's going to his disciples, it's like he just wants that familiarity, that comfort, that reassurance. And so, I take that even a little further. What does that mean? How does that apply to me? How have I been seeking comfort? And I realize that, especially in these days where everything is different, everything's changing. I'm now just not called upon as mom, but I'm called upon as teacher. And I have to reassure people all the time, or, we're just coming up with new ideas for how we're going to do the things that we would normally do in our everyday life. And during those days, I have to wake myself up multiple times, not out of sleep, certainly not napping, that's for sure. But I have to wake myself up out of this mediocrity or selfishness or sinfulness. And I have to seek the Father. I have to seek his comfort, because everything right now is uncomfortable. It is hard to be mothering in this time. It's hard to have the answers for your children. It's hard to be their teacher and their mother and their comforter and all those things rolled into one 24/7. And so I necessarily need to wake myself up and to go to God the Father and to seek his comfort. And that is good, and it is necessary, and it's helpful, and it's the thing that's going to bring us through all of this. And so as my children teach me, and as Jesus in this gospel teaches me, that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to keep going to the Father and asking for his help, his comfort.
Yeah, I think that's what this season really has been, and still is a time for us to wake up. So it's Jesus maybe waking us up more, not twice, not 3 times, but as many times as he needs to.
Yeah, and I never want to complain in all of this. I mean, I can feel it. I can feel the complaints in my head sometimes, but I hate to use this as an opportunity to give up or to be angry and to just complain. But that it is a time, and it's a reason for us to try harder, to push through, to just demonstrate resourcefulness. But that it's hard, and I think it's okay to admit that and to know that we need that extra help. That doesn't come from a human form.
No, you're right, and there's hope in that. So that's good. That's a good lesson for us this week. Thank you, Gillian. I hope you have continued blessings this Easter season.
Thank you, and you as well.
Yeah, thank you for this lesson today.
All right, Madison, thank you so much for taking some time to speak to me today. Now,
welcome.
Now, you photographed 3 weddings in 36 hours a couple weeks ago. How did that even come about?
So it came about very, very quickly. I think all the couples that were getting married that week made a decision only a couple days. One was a couple hours before, but most of them are just a couple days before, because of COVID, obviously. And there was a lot of complications, and they were wondering whether they would be actually able to get married in May. And so they just made the decision with the priest here in town that they would get married that week. So then it was just a matter of planning what time on the day, and that's about it, right? So there's no reception or anything like that. And so they just decided the day before or a couple days before to get married that week. So that's kind of how it happened.
That's crazy. And you had no problem with the sudden change of schedule for you?
No, actually, it was really nice because all 3 weddings were here in the town that I live in. So I just had to walk down the street and photograph them. Mm-hmm. So it was really convenient. Actually, I didn't have to do a lot of traveling or anything like that. And I mean, I'm kind of unemployed now because of COVID. So I didn't have previous engagements or anything like that. So they called me the day before and they're like, I'm getting married tomorrow. Can you be there to photograph kind of the entrance into the church and then the exit, and then just do some couple photos kind of around town. So it worked out well, even though it was a little bit of a crazy time because 2 of the couples got married on the same day, only a couple hours apart. So that was a little bit of a crazy day because I was going back and forth from couple to couple. So.
You are used to probably being able to be a part of the ceremony and taking photos of the Mass itself, but now that number was very limited. So tell me more about that experience.
Yeah, it was a bit strange for sure. I definitely felt like I should be going in with you into the church. But I understand the circumstance didn't allow for it. So it was definitely a strange feeling. Having them exit the church, and I was saying there was a couple other people waiting outside the church for the couple, like family and stuff, and I said to them beside me, I'm like, are we sure they're married? Like I didn't even see it, so few people saw it, and we're making jokes about that.
I'm sure the priest could confirm that yes, that it happened.
The marriage certificate and everything, it did happen. But yeah, I think even that, like the couples, as much as they did want photos during their ceremony, that isn't obviously the most important part of their wedding day. They didn't even mind that much because they were just, all these couples were so happy to be getting married. Like, there was some sadness in that the date changed and everything kind of, all their plans flew out the window. But they were just really valuing that they were getting married that day, and I think that was just the most important thing. And so me as a photographer, it did feel kind of weird, but just seeing like the sheer joy in these couples, I was like, you know what, they got married, and maybe one day we can like fake it at the altar and take some photos there. But what's most important is they got married, and they'll have some photos of them going into the church, exiting the church, and photos together. So, yeah.
Now, in terms of your own work as a wedding photographer, especially during this time, and after your experience of, or maybe while you were photographing these couples, what is it that you wanted to convey? Was there something that you wanted to convey in these photos? In particular, because of COVID-19?
I think I really wanted to portray in these photos just the simplicity of marriage. It was just so simple, and often marriage is not seen as simple at all, or wedding days. There's so much planning that goes into a wedding day. There's all the little tiny details. There's, the decorations and the flowers and all that. And it causes, some people, plan for 2 years in advance for their wedding day because it just takes so much time and effort. So in my photos and photographing these 3 couples, I just wanted people to see that marriage is so, when you break it down, marriage is so simple, and it doesn't even take much time, right? So there's been other times in the history of the church and stuff where couples have just had to get married like very quickly with no preparation kind of thing. So I think that's kind of what I wanted wanted people to see. And that's what I saw myself, is that the church gave us just such a beautiful sacrament of matrimony, and sometimes we can really complicate it. But when it comes down to it, it's just a beautiful, simple sacrament that can happen in just so short a time, but change somebody's life forever.
For sure. Now, we're talking about your business. How has this affected your business as a wedding photographer, or any other way? The fact now that, some weddings are being canceled or postponed. How is this affecting you?
Yeah, so it's kind of thrown my summer not out the window completely, because we don't know exactly what's happening. But like my May weddings are all canceled now, so they're one of them is actually postponed. So one did postpone to December, but the other two, they were the ones that got married a week ago or 2 weeks ago. And now June, I'm getting emails for June, people concerned about their weddings. I'm even getting emails for August. So right now it's not confirmed that there's for sure, cancellations in, July, August, September, but people are thinking about it. And so right now it seems May and June are kind of done for. Not done for, that's really bad. But they'll either be scheduled later, which is what some people are doing, which would be great for me, because then I can still photograph their wedding. But the couples that are either some of them are just getting married, them and the priest, and so that makes it, that affects my business, obviously, because I'm supposed to be photographing their wedding for a 10-hour day or 8-hour day, and now it's down to 30 minutes. so obviously I'm not charging the same amount that I would for a 30-minute day, an 8-hour day. So in that regards, it's a little bit unfortunate for my business, but a lot of people are affected, so I'm not the only one.
Yeah. Hopefully, maybe after this year is over, or once we kind of get out of this, people will just, you'll be booked back-to-back weekends for a full year, galore. And you'll make up for it. Yeah, weddings galore. Yeah,
exactly.
In the meantime, these weddings that you did photograph a couple weekends, weeks ago, those photos, some of those photos are available on your Instagram account. Yeah. People can go and follow you at Madison G Photography, right, on Instagram. And they can also check you out, some of your earlier work on your website, madisongphotography.com.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Madison. Good luck with everything.
You're so welcome. Thanks for the interview. God bless you.
Hi there. Today we are interviewing Elizabeth Pierce. She's the Executive Director of Catholic Family Services of Durham. Elizabeth, thank you so much for your time today.
You're welcome. Glad to be here.
With people being under quarantine during COVID-19, what can people do to take care of themselves and take care of others?
Honestly, right now, I would say that the advice would be similar for both. We need to be kind to ourselves and to each other. And we also need to remember to breathe. And I know that sounds like something that's very obvious, because we need to breathe to live, but we spend so much of our time every day shallow breathing, and we need to remember to take deep, slow breaths so that we are able to calm our nervous system down, get the oxygen that we need to our brains and to our bodies, and that actually helps us to feel calm and also physically calm. So I think those are two crucial things. And obviously for caring for others as well, it's important that we reach out to people that we know are in need, that we give if we can give, that we donate where possible, that we respect the rules that are in place for social distancing, because that's a way that we're actually caring for others right now. And the other thing is to just be kind to ourselves in terms of doing what we need right now. So very often we put all of these shoulds onto ourselves, when we feel like we should be productive, we should be able to cope, we shouldn't be so upset. But we're in this heightened state right now. We're in a world pandemic, and whether we're thinking about it consciously or not, we know that that's the case. And so typically we respond to stress with a fight or flight response. And you can't stay in that space forever. We're only meant to be in there for a short time. So we need to do things like caring for ourselves, slowing down, taking a nap if we need it, rather than putting ourselves in this, oh, I'm too lazy, I should be doing more things kind of mentality. The sort of harsh things that we used to say to ourselves before the pandemic can't be things that we say to ourselves now. We need to be extra gentle with ourselves. Take time to have a bath or to listen to some music. The things that naturally soothe us are things we need to be doing more of right now.
For those with children, what sort of things can parents and guardians do for the mental well-being of their children?
So children need what we need. They need kindness and they need to breathe. So one of the things we can do as parents for our children is we can teach them to deep breathe. When kids are little, sometimes you will notice them holding their breath when they are upset or stressed about something. So we need to teach them to slow their breathing down as well. One of the things that we can do is get bubbles if we have bubbles, and teach them about slow breathing by having them blow out those bubbles on that blow stick. It shows kids what it means to actually slow down breathing and take that time. So we can model that for our children and then have them do it themselves. They also need kindness because their lives are upside down, and whether they might not understand the full implications of everything that's happening in this world, they know something's going on, and they know that everyone around them is stressed, and that the routine that they once had is completely taken away from them. And so we need to create a sense of safety for children. That doesn't mean recreating the school routine that they once had, because even the most prolific homeschoolers will tell you you can't create the same school environment that you had at home. But you can do things to create a structure for your children that fits the children. So parents are the experts on their children. So I would say children need their parents to set up a life home routine during this pandemic that fits for those children. So for example, if kids are the type of kids where they just don't do well in the mornings, then don't make that the time when you're trying to do work with the schoolwork with the kids. Let that be their downtime. If they function better after supper, let that be when they do their schoolwork. We need to really be flexible and gracious to each other right now, and especially to children.
You mentioned safety and routine. What can people do if they're not in a home that frankly just isn't safe? That's something that we are seeing during COVID-19, during the quarantine, and seeing those numbers increase. So what can people do?
Absolutely, Jermaine. This is something that's so crucial right now. Home isn't safe for everybody. There are a lot of women right now who are living in a home emotional, psychological, or physical abuse. And so I would want those women to know that there are shelters that they can go to be free from this, and that despite the parameters that are being put in place right now, there still are safe places to go. The best place I would say to call to find out where to go would be the Assaulted Women's Helpline. They have a toll-free line, 1-866-863-0511, or you can text them at #SAFE, which is #7233. And they can link people up with the right supports in the particular area that someone is living in. And they also have a toll-free senior safety line as well, which is 1-866-299-1011. And then for children who aren't safe, they can call the Kids Help Phone, and that will be a place where they can get hooked up with the right services in their area. That number is 1-800-668-6868, or they can text 668-6868, and that will hook a child up with trauma therapists and people who are trained to be able to help children through a difficult time. And obviously, if things are getting very unsafe, it's important to call 911 because you don't deserve to be hurt.
Yes, and when dealing with these sort of things, people do need to outreach. I'd imagine Catholic Family Services is that type of place. During the time of physical distancing, how can people access the services of the Catholic Family Services? And what sort of things do you offer that can help at this time?
You're right. It's really important to reach out for support, regardless of what it is you're going through, whether it be grief or trauma, anxiety, depression. And yes, Catholic Family Services is definitely available. At our organization, we're providing phone therapy sessions and video therapy sessions so that we can support people virtually. It's effective. It's actually one evidence-based treatment for a variety of different issues, and maybe isn't as important for some people to connect right now as others, but we want people to know that we're absolutely available should someone need that kind of support. And actually research shows that it is effective for many of the issues being faced as in-person sessions right now. So if people wanted to access us, they could just call our main number, which is 905-725-3513. They leave a message, and then we would call them back and get them connected with the services that they need.
What is your hope for people during this period?
Well, Helen Keller is quoted as saying, although the world is full of suffering, it's also full of overcoming it. And I can tell you that over the past 23 years that I've worked in this field, I've really seen that to be true. I've borne witness time and time again to the resiliency of humanity, how in the midst of darkness and struggle and abuse and trauma, there's this grit and strength that defies odds and enables people not just to survive, but to actually heal from some of the most horrendous things that you could ever imagine going through. So although it might not sound hopeful, the truth is hard stuff happens in life, not just during world pandemics, but other times as well. And the reality is that when hard times happen, people are strong, people are resilient, and people are able to heal. I think Mr. Rogers' mom was right. She said that when bad things for the helpers, because there's always people helping, people ready to come alongside and support those who are struggling, which is why our agency's tagline is "We're here for you," because we know that when people have people to support them, they can come back from all kinds of difficult things. And my hope for people during this time is that they would remember that although this is hard, although this is like nothing we've ever been through before, we will get through this and we will overcome this together.
That's beautiful and just wonderfully well said. Elizabeth, thank you so much for your time and the amazing information that you've offered and given to the viewers here at Salt and Light Media.
You're welcome. Very happy to have been a part of this. Thank you so much.
And that's all for today. I loved hearing from Gillian Kantor. It's so true that what we need right now is comfort, and Jesus is always there to give it to us. Also, Emily and Madison made me remember about the 2 weddings that I'm invited to this summer, which will likely be canceled. Did you have any wedding plans this summer? What have you decided to do? Also, maybe you have a story that highlights what Jermaine and Elizabeth were saying about mental health. How has this crisis affected your mental health or that of a loved one? Share your stories with us by following Salt and Light Media on all of our social media platforms and commenting with the hashtag #HopeFromHome. If you missed any part of the episode and you'd like to watch it again, visit our website, saltandlighttv.org/HopeFromHome. We hope that these stories inspire you to stay positive and remind you that we're all still connected together through hope.